여러분 안녕하세요. 다시 만나서 반가워요. 그동안 잘 지내셨죠? How often do you go to your friend's house? Or how often does your friend come to your house? Then of course you introduce your friend to your parents, don't you? Today we're going to look at this situation. The situation where you introduce someone. What kind of dialogue do you expect? We will talk about this after watching this video.
엄마, 제 친구 데이빗이에요. 데이빗 인사드려, 우리 엄마야.
안녕하세요. 처음 뵙겠습니다.
아, 데이빗이구나. 폴린에게서 데이빗에 대해서 말을 많이 들었어. 공부도 아주 잘한다고.
별 말씀을. 폴린이 하도 자기 엄마 자랑을 많이 해서 그렇지 않아도 한번 뵙고 싶었어요.
그럼 놀아요. 폴린 친구가 왔으니까 내가 맛있는 음식을 만들어 줄게. 폴린, 뭘 좋아해?
엄마는 전을 잘 만드시니까 김치전을 만들어 주세요. 저도 너무 먹고 싶고 데이빗도 김치전 좋아한대요.
그래, 그럼 놀고 있어. 김치전을 만들어 줄게. 폴린 아빠도 계셨더라면 참 좋았을 텐데. 오늘은 회사 일이 바쁘셔서 나가셨거든.
글쎄 말이에요. 폴린이 하도 자기 아빠가 멋있는 분이라고 자랑해서 그런지 저도 한번 뵙고 싶었거든요.
다음에 기회가 되겠지. 그럼 놀아요.
In this dialogue, there are several honorific words. We know that the Korean language is an honorific language. What that means is that a speaker should use different form to anyone older than the speaker or to a person who holds a higher position. We know that 요 or 씁니다 is the form to be used as an honorific. But other than those, some words are designated as honorific words. In the dialogue, Jessica says to Grace's mom, 처음 뵙겠습니다. Did you understand that? 뵙다 from 뵙겠습니다 is an honorific word for 만나다. We know the meaning for the word 만나다. You're right, that is to meet. Therefore, 처음 뵙겠습니다 means this is the first time I see you. Towards the last part of the dialogue, Jessica says, 그레이스가 자기 아빠가 너무 멋있는 분이라고 자랑해서 저도 한번 뵙고 싶었거든요. Pay attention to the words. 저도 한번 뵙고 싶었거든요. As you now know the meaning of 뵙다, the sentence means, because Grace brags so much about her father, I wanted to see him. Although we talked about the honorifics a little from different lessons, let's summarize some. We're going to look at the verbs first. Number 1, 있다, 계시다. 선생님께서 지금 교실에 계세요. Number 2, 먹다, 잡수시다. 아빠, 저녁 잡수세요. Number 3, 자다, 주무시다. 지금 할머니께서 주무십니다. Number 4, 말하다, 말씀하시다. 지금 선생님께서 말씀하십니다. Number 5, 죽다, 돌아가시다. 저희 할아버지께서 작년에 돌아가셨습니다. Number 6, 주다, 드리다. 이것을 선생님께 드려. Number 7, 만나다, 뵙다. 선생님을 뵙고 싶었어요. What do you notice from these words? Except 드리다 and 뵙다, do you see how each verb has she in the middle? Other than those designated words for honorifics, she should be used in a verb to make honorifics. Then why do you think that 들이다 and 뵙다 do not have she in the middle of the verb? The reason why 들이다 and 뵙다 do not have she in the middle is that the action will take place by the younger person. For example, from the sentence 선생님을 뵙고 싶었어요. It is I who is speaking. The older person is not taking an action. That is why. So now we're going to look at how to insert an infix she in a verb. 읽다, 읽으시다. 선생님께서 책을 읽으세요. 가다, 가시다. 엄마 친구께서 가십니다. 오다, 오시다. 아빠 친구께서 우리 집에 오실 거예요. It's easy, huh? Just add she next to the verb stem if there is no final consonant, while she should be added to the verb stem if there is a final consonant. Now we're going to look at particles. From the above examples, I'm sure you noticed particles already. Here's a list. Number 1, 에게, 게. Number 2, 이/가, 깨서. Number 3, 은/는, 깨서는. Now we're going to look at nouns. Number 1, 나이, 연세. 우리 아빠 연세는 42이에요. Number 2, 말, 말씀. 선생님 말씀은 항상 듣기 좋아요. Number 3, 밥, 진지. 할머니 진지 잡수세요. Number 4, 병, 병환. 할아버지께서 병환으로 병원에 입원하셨어요. Number 5, 사람, 분. 저 분이 우리 한국어 선생님이에요. Number 6, 생일, 생신. 내일이 우리 할아버지 생신이에요. Number 7, 이름, 성함, 존함. 우리 아빠 성함을 알려드릴까요? Number 8, 집, 댁. 선생님 댁이 어디예요? I know sometimes it is not easy to pick the correct word for honorifics, but as you practice, you'll get used to it. Other than honorifics, there are some words that make the speaker humble. Take a look at the list. Number 1, 나, 저. Number 2, 나의, 저의, or 제. Number 3, 우리, 저희. So when you talk to anyone older than you, you use those words that humble you, which automatically places the other person higher than you. I know that those honorifics require some practice, but believe me, if you use proper honorifics, Koreans will be really amazed at your Korean. How many of you know about Korean history? How many of you know about the Korean culture? How about the Korean War? How about me, 진희 선생님? Of course, I don't want to talk about Korean history, Korean culture, the Korean War, or myself, but I want to emphasize about. How do you say that in Korean? It is noun에 대해서, or noun에 대해, or something noun에 대하여. Notice that 에 is a particle. Hence, a noun should be used in front of 에. In the dialogue, the mom says, 제시카에 대해서 말을 많이 들었어. 제시카에 대해서. This means about Jessica. So the sentence becomes, I heard a lot about Jessica. Therefore, if you want to say that I know a lot about Korean history, you will say 한국 역사에 대하여 많이 알아요. If you want to say I know a lot about the Korean culture, then it will be 한국 문화에 대하여 많이 알아요. How often do we feel sorry about something, or how often do we regret something? You don't? If you don't regret or you don't feel bad about something, that's great. But oftentimes, we feel that I should have studied more, I should have spent less money, I should have not fought, and so on. To express your regret or a feeling that is sorry, you can use something at 했더라면 좋았을 텐데, or something at 했더라면 좋았을 걸. If you translate it in English, it is, it would have been better if it had something. Notice that the first part is the past tense because that is the one that could have happened in the past. In the dialogue, the mother thinks that it would be good if Grace's father were there. And she says, 그레이스 아빠도 계셨더라면 좋았을 텐데. Let's make a few sentences. Number 1. It would have been better if I had studied more. 내가 공부를 더 했더라면 좋았을 텐데. Number 2. It would have been better if I had started earlier. 내가 더 일찍 출발했더라면 좋았을 텐데. Number 3. It would have been better if I had used less money. 내가 돈을 덜 썼더라면 좋았을 텐데. Instead of 좋았을 텐데, you can use something that would have changed the situation. For example, if you want to change the first sentence. Number 1. I would have had a better grade if I had studied more. 내가 공부를 더 했더라면 더 좋은 성적을 받았을 텐데. If you want to say that, I would have arrived on time if I had started earlier. Then it would be 내가 더 일찍 출발했더라면 정각에 도착했을 텐데. So you can use another pattern like something at 했더라면, something at 했을 텐데. I'm sure this is another really good expression to express your feelings. So along with honorifics, we talked about noun에 대해서 is literally about, and something at 했더라면, something at 했을 텐데 is used to express your regret or some of the things that would have had a different result if it had been done differently. So remember, noun에 대해서 and something at 했더라면, something at 했을 텐데. 그럼 다음 시간에 만나요.